Good day, my name is Myla Sarmiento, and today I will be discussing the concept of cell theory. Let's begin with the cell, the fundamental unit of life, also called as a building block of life. In other words, cells make up living things and carry out activities that keep a living things alive. In our body, there are trillions of cells. There are over 200 different cell types in the human body, like brain cells, muscle cells, blood cells, nerve cell, ovum, sperm cell, bone cell, and fat cells. These cells make up our organisms and tissues, as well as help to define our body as a part of our immune system. All cells are formed by the division of the already existent cells, which is term of biology means reproduction. Every cell of our body comprises of genetic materials which is passes down during the process. All the basic psychological and chemical function, the growth, repair, movement, communication, immunity, and digestion are formed inside the cell. All the activities of the cell depends mainly on the activities of the subcellular structure that lie within the cell. This subcellular structure composes of the plasma membrane, organelles, and if present, the nucleus. A cell is a basic unit of life by the cell theory. Cell theory or cell doctrine states that all living organisms are composed of similar units of organism called cells. Cell theory is a collection of ideas and conclusions from many different scientists over time that describe cells and how cells operate. By the late 1830s, botanist Matthias Sheldon and zoologist Theodore Swan were studying tissue and process the unified cell. The unified cell theory states the three concepts of theory. The first is all living things are composed of one or more cells. Cell is a unit of life. And the third is cell arise from the existing cells. First is the all living things are composed of one or more cells. This means that everything that lives in our organism needs one cells or many cells to survive. Like an example, all plants and animals is alive because they are made up of cells. A tree is also alive because made of many cells. The bird in a river, house flies on the farm, they all are made of a cell. A cell, basic unit of life of all organisms, which means that all living things they need one or more many cells to survive. Second, the cell is the basic unit structure and organism that perform life function. This means all biological process that occurs within the body for it to sustain itself cannot occur without the presence of cell. In other words, everything is made up of cell. The cell are the basic building blocks of organisms and life. Rudolf Virchow. Rudolf Virchow states the omni cellula as cellula, meaning all cells only arise from pre-existing cells. All cell come pre-existing cell is the third unit of a cell. All cells come from pre-existing cell in a process called cell division. Pre-existing cell means that the cell which divided form two new daughter cells. The pre-existing cell was one of the two cells which got divided its parent cell to daughter cells. In this picture, you can see if this is a cell is divided to two cells and divided to more cells. This is come from pre-existing cells. The modern version of the cell theory includes cell contains hereditary information which is passed from cell to cell during cell division. All cells are basically the same in chemical composition. All energy flows of life occurs within the cell. In 1838 and 1839, a German botanist by the name of Matthias Selden and German zoologist by the name of Theodor Swan viewed plants and animals under the microscope and discovered that plants and animals are both made of cells. In 1855, a Persian modern-day German physician by the name of Rudolf Virchow collaborated his ideas with the two scientists and they developed the cell theory. Around the years 1590, two Dutch eyeglass makers by the name of Zacharias Janssen and San Hans Janssen experiment with two lenses placed in a tube. The Hansen observed that view object in front of the tube appeared greatly enlarged, creating both the forerunner of the compound microscope and the telescope. They invented the first compound microscope when they put two of their lenses together in a tube. In 1663, an English scientist, Robert Hooke, discovered the name cells, which looking through a microscope as a piece of cork. Supposedly, the cork, which was made of dead or tree tissue, reminded him of the small rooms that the monk lived in at the monasteries. In 1665, scientist Robert Hooke used a microscope to examine then a slice of a cork. Not long ago, after Hooke around 1683, a Dutch amateur scientist by the name of Anton van Leeuwenhoek observed some of the first living cells under a simple one lenses of microscope. He named this small organism Animalculus. It is now believed that some of living cells he saw were actually protozoa. Loren Oken may have been the first to come out the cell theory, as he stated, all living organisms originated from the concepts of the cells. Robert Brown noticed pollen granules jiggle around the Brownian motion in 1827. He discovered in the 1833 the nucleus. Matthias Selden, a botanist who declared that the plant's organism is made of cells in 1838. He accepted the importance of the nucleus discovered by Robert Brown in 1773 to 1858 and speculated on its role in cell division. He discovered the plant cell. Theodor Swan, the zoologist who observed that the tissue of animals had cells in 1839. He proposed that all organisms are made of cells. Together with Matthias Selden, he formulated the cell theory of life. The animal cell is composed by Theodor Swan. Today, the cell theory is to biology as atomic theory and physics. That's all. Thank you.